Welcome to the creative writing course. We're going to cover the basics of creative writing in this course because I'm sure if some of you have done the content writing or digital marketing course, let me just tell you that the creative writing is very different from content writing. Content writing has a lot of rules. The first rule in creative writing is that it has no rules. So writing without rules is even more difficult, and yet communicating with the reader is even more difficult than what you do in content writing. So starting with creative writing. So while we have this presentation with us, we also have this, there will be a presentation here. You will see this presentation. And I will be taking a few things, obviously all the things from these presentations, but then I will be taking a lot of other things that are there in the, that you must know about creative writing to become a good writer, that you must know. So let's just start with the course. Let's just see what we do. So what is creative at the first place? Let me just create a Word file for you, so that you are able to take your notes as well. Okay, so what is creative at the first place? So let me just tell you, creative, there is a very famous author by the name of 𝐂𝐨𝐮𝐫𝐬𝐞. So let's just cite an example that if you, supposedly if I show you a picture, let's say if I show you a picture of rain, let's just go to one of these websites and let's see a picture of rain. I'm sure you know about the stock pictures, that the pictures that are free to use, you can use them. And you can go here. Let's just see supposedly, let's just pick up one picture. Supposedly we pick up this one, right? And if I ask you to caption it, I'm sure every one of you will have a different caption. All of you will write a different caption for the same picture. Though I don't know how many of you must be there, you must be, no matter how many people see this picture, if I ask them to caption it, they will give a different caption for the picture. Okay, it may have a same theme, that okay, this is the jungle, this is the road, this is the mountains, this is this is that, but the caption will be different. No two words, no 4 or 5 words will match in their caption. Why? Because it is written out of your imagination. So what is creative? The first thing in creative is that it is imagination. Anything that is imaginary, right, is original, becomes purposeful. That is what you call the creative. Anything, because creative is something that you cannot, that is not there, it's not there in the books, it's not there written anywhere, it's not something off shelf that you can pick up. Imagination is always original. So whatever that is imaginary becomes original and becomes purposeful. When it is purposeful also, it is adding value to other people's life, it is creative. That is what creative writing means. So now when it comes to now that you understand that what is creative, let's just understand that what is creative writing. Because when you have imagined, when you have understood something, that when you know that you have imagined something and it's your original thought and you want to add value to other people's life, what do you want to do then? Then you want to tool your imagination. What you call is tooling imagination, right? Tooling imagination. Now, what is tooling imagination? How do you tool your imagination? Now you are imagining something. How do you tell it to the other person? You narrate it, right? What do you read in a story? You narrate a story. There is always a narrator in the story. Somebody is telling the story. So the creative writing is tooling your imagination. How do you tool your imagination? You do it with the figurative speech. You do it with the narrative, which is like figurative speech, descriptions. That becomes the narrative craft. So what does narrative craft mean? Narrative craft is how well you are able to tell or share your imagination with other people, right? So what is figurative speech and what are descriptions, I will tell you later. But then first you need to understand that whatever you are imagining, you have to tell it to your reader. And he should be able to imagine something the same way that you are imagining, if not exactly, but at least 90 to 95% of it. That is what you call the narrative craft. That means narrative craft is how effectively you make the, how effectively you make the reader feel your words. That's what the narrative craft is all about. And then you develop descriptions. You describe, you describe something. Now there is a coffee shop. Supposedly there is your protagonist or your character in the story is sitting in a coffee shop. What do? You describe how does the reader know that it is a coffee shop? You need to develop the descriptions. You have to develop the characters. You have to develop descriptions, develop characters. Okay, I will tell you who the characters are. Characters are basically the real people in the fictional space. So your characters have to look real, right? So you have to develop the descriptions. You have to develop the characters, use the narrative craft, and add beauty. Now, how do you do this? You add beauty to sentences by adding the figurative language. Now, let me just give you an example for this. And what will happen after you do all this? You will tool your imagination. You will use let me just give you an example for tooling imagination. That supposedly you are imagining that I'm sitting on a beach, or supposedly you imagine that that this is a beautiful beach. So what do you write? There is something called a beautiful beach, right? A beautiful beach. But there is a way to write a beautiful beach. The sultry, let me just imagine and say it for you, that sultry blue waters of the sea were settling down, and the sparkles of golden hue, in the sparkles of golden hue. So what you are showing the sun, and then the orange ball was setting. The breeze was a little calmer than before, and the sand had turned golden. So what are you showing? You are showing a beautiful beach. So this is what you call figurative speech and description. We will do it in detail when we do the next modules, but that just to make you understand that what descriptions are. Now coming on to narrative craft, how effectively you make the reader feel your words. Let me just show you one of the stories that I had written, how do you tool the imagination. So Mahi stood facing her extensive wardrobe to choose a dress. A colorful scrimmage was apparent amongst glittery fancy hangers in proximity. She withdrew some dresses but rejected them because they were revealing. For the first time, she wasn't comfortable in her own skin and decided to cover it. What are you showing here? You are showing the dilemma of a woman, right, who is not able to decide that what she should wear for a particular occasion. So that is where the lies. Now somebody is telling that she is not comfortable. That is what you call the narrative craft, and you make the reader feel your words. That okay, now the reader should be able to understand that okay, there is a woman who is standing against her wardrobe, or who is standing in front of her wardrobe, and she is not able to decide what to wear. So that is something that is called narrative craft. Now develop descriptions. So when you saw that story, let me just show you one more to develop the descriptions. How do you develop the description? However, we are going to do this everything in detail, but then let me just give you the basic idea of what exactly it is. To develop the description, the train chuffed from New Jalpaiguri with a long chew. You are adding the sounds. You are letting the reader understand or hear the sounds. And Akriti felt twitchy. Twitchy is uncomfortable or a little nauseatic, what you call. So she was astonished as Manas. How come he had planned a surprise holiday for the two of them, just for the two of them, leaving behind everyone else, right? Her otherwise withdrawn husband suddenly wanted to be with her. For Manas, Akriti only existed, though he ensured to take care of her. He was never a romantic man who'd bring flowers to turn the air rosy. There was a calm silence amongst them, and Akriti wordlessly acknowledged it. Now, what are you trying to describe here? You are trying to describe life of a woman whose husband is not interested in her, right? You are developing a character, Akriti and Manas, right? So this is what you call develop descriptions, characters, and then the train chugged off with a long chew. What are you trying to do? You are showing that the train has left the station, okay? And this is called a setting, the place where a story is taking place or where your writing is taking place is called setting. Coming on to adding beauty to sentences by adding figurative speech. So this is usually done by, say, metaphors, simile, personification, alliteration. I will tell you all of this, but then this will be covered in the later modules. All of that, what is called the figurative language. Like I said, the long chew, that is called onomatopoeia, right? Akriti felt twitchy, that is called the tactile. So these are the tactics, or these are the ways to add the figures, or would you say the images to your writing, so that reader is able to understand what your imagination is. And what is the purpose of all this? While you do this, I mean, you have understood that creative writing is about tooling imagination. It is about the narrative craft. It is about developing the descriptions. It is about adding the beauty to the sentences by these many things. However, we are going to cover that later. But what exactly you are doing here after doing all this? So when we read a story, what happens with us? Or when we read any creative work, what happens with us? We usually start to imagine something in our mind. There is a picture that is going on in our mind. So that is what you call the creating pictures. With all this, what you do is create images in the reader's mind. The entire creative writing is based on this. The very purpose of creative writing is this, that you are imagining something, you are writing it, and then the process is imagine, write, create images. That is how you become a successful creative writer. So that is the first thing that you need to understand. The purpose of creative writing is to imagine, then write it and create images in the reader's mind. That's what you call creative writing. You never do it in content writing. You communicate with the reader. You don't do it in content writing, but you communicate with the reader. Coming on to the next part, obviously we have covered that what is creative. It is imaginative, it is original, it is purposeful. So when you are creating images in the reader's mind, they are able to relate to what you have imagined, and they either get a food for thought, either they get entertained, or they feel something, or they are moved by something, by what you have written. So it becomes purposeful. It is adding value to the reader's life, and that is why it is called creative. What is creative? Obviously, we have covered this, tooling imagination with narrative craft and in writer's perspective. So let's just understand what is writer's perspective. Okay, before that, we need to understand what are the differences between content writing and creative writing. So if you have done the content writing course, you must see that what is the difference between, you must know that what is the difference between the content writing and creative writing. So let's just see. Let me just insert a table for you. And then we will see two examples from content writing and one example from content writing and one example from creative writing. So let's just go to content writing, and we have creative writing. Okay, so coming on to this, the first thing that you should know in content writing, it's always the reader's perspective. Why? Because you think about the target. The first thing that you decide in content writing is who is your target audience. You should be, in content writing, you should be able to communicate with your reader. You should be able to deliver your message absolutely right. right? So that is something that you need to do in content writing. Supposedly you are okay. Let me just show you one example from each of them. Let's just take one story from here, and we will also then take the, I'm just taking examples. So coming on to the content writing and creative writing. Let's just see. Okay, let's just see this one. Now, if you read this one, this is an article written about 5 types of traditional silk sarees that make you slay the wedding season. So what kind of traditional silk sarees are available that will never go out of trend. So this is a part of content writing. So here you use a language which is very simple, right? Indian weddings are a strong reason for us to celebrate. The celebration is not only about the bride and groom tying the knot, but we celebrate our culture. Sumptuous cuisines, beautiful henna, sparkling jewelry, and most importantly, celebrating happiness together is what a Desi wedding is all about. So why did I use word Desi? I could have used Indian, because content writing is now the target audience are people who are going to wear saris. It's mostly women who are going to wear saris, right? And to connect with the reader, it is important that I use the language that is easy for them to understand. So it is always about the reader's perspective. The tone that you find here, right? The kind of language that you find here, it is about to communicate with the reader, right? I am trying to communicate. We have a lot of choices today in saris too. Yet there are a few traditional silks that never go out of trend. Trust me, it is enough to turn you. You are using the second person. You are using a language to communicate. So when the reader reads it, he or she feels that, okay, this is the best thing so far, that somebody has written something just for me. So that is what you do that is what you call the reader's perspective. Similarly, when you read a story, the train chuffed from New Jalpaiguri with a long chew and Akriti felt twitchy. She was astonished at Manas. How come he had planned a surprise holiday just for the two of them, leaving behind everyone else, her otherwise withdrawn husband, right? Otherwise withdrawn husband suddenly wanted to be with her. So this is written in third person, where I am trying to, this is my perspective. I am not thinking that what the reader will feel. I'm just sharing my imagination. I'm not thinking what the reader is going to feel. I'm not deciding who is my target audience. My story can be read by anyone. I have not decided a target audience for this, right? So here, the first thing in content writing and creative writing is that it is always the reader's perspective, whereas it is always the writer's perspective, and you just write, you tool your imagination, and rest of the things you leave it to the reader to imagine. You do not think about okay, you may read a story, you may have, as a reader, every reader may have a different perspective to the story. Some may like it, some may not like it, some may find it very inspirational, some may not find it inspirational, some may find it negative, someone may find it positive, but then it is always but the writer will not, as a writer, you are not going to change your perspective. Why? Because what you're doing is tooling your imagination. If you change your perspective according to the reader, you will not be able to connect, or you will not be able to tool your imagination or build the narrative craft. Your narrative craft will go for a toss if you do that. Okay, so that is called the difference between content writing and creative writing. This is called the reader's perspective, and this is called the writer's. This is always the writer's perspective. Always think about what you are imagining before you write something. And here in content writing, you always think about the target audience first, and then you decide the content, the language. Here, the simple language, crisp, clear, catchy sentences. And here, because using the narrative craft, you are trying to create images in the reader mind. You use flowery language, right? You use the word power, right? You avoid adjectives. Avoid adverbs. Instead, you replace it with the power words. Supposedly, you do not write walk slowly. right? Or you do not write walked in pain. What you, for instead of this, you write ambling, right? And instead of this, you write trudging, so that the reader is able to imagine exactly the way you are imagining. The reader is able to relate to your imagination. So that is yet another point for uh, yet another difference in content writing and creative writing, that you have to keep your language simple in content writing, write crisp, clear, catchy sentences, and in creative writing you can use the flowery language. However, you will not write very long sentences here, because hard to read content is equal to won't read anyway, right? So that is the next difference that you understand in content writing. And this is something that you communicate with the reader, right? Communicate with simple language. Obviously, when you are using the simple language, you are communicating with the reader. And here you are creating images in the reader's mind. So you cannot write simple, obviously. However, I do not recommend using ornamental English like Shakespeare. Why? Because that is not the niche audience that we have. That is not the niche reader. That is a very niche reader, and that is the niche reader that can relate to Shakespearean content, but a normal reader will not be able to. See, understand, now for, if you understand Hindi, if you're reading Hindi, somebody who knows Hindi, if you read Hindi, for you, punarvivah, punarjanam, anugrah, all of these are easy words. You know the meaning of these words because you have studied Hindi, right? But if it is somebody who is reading your content in Hindi, who is not a native Hindi speaker, he or she will find that language difficult. So for Shakespeare, I'm coming to Shakespeare. When it comes to Shakespeare, for them, when Shakespeare used to write, that was the English, or that were the times when English was used that way. At that time, Hindi was also very difficult to understand. You know, it was derived from Sanskrit. A lot of Sanskrit words were there, and it wasn't that easy to read. So you have to move on with the pace of time. Okay, so if you read Charles Dickens, The Tale of Two Cities, right? He starts his story by that. Those were the best of times, and it was the best of time. It was the worst of time, right? It was. Yeah, so it's very easy. Always write language which is easy for your reader to understand, and your reader doesn't have to dive into the dictionary every now and then. Because if your reader has to dive into the dictionary, your content or your story will be, he will be put off and he will not read it completely. So this is creating images in the reader's mind. Here, the tone is formal, and here the tone is creative. So what is tone in writing? I'm sure you will understand that in content writing. But formal tone means that you communicate like as if you are speaking to the reader, and tone is creative, as if you are letting the reader know something. Okay, so these are the major differences in content writing and creative writing that you need to understand. So I showed you the examples of content writing and creative writing as well. All right, so these are the differences between content writing and creative writing. So coming back to this, it's always the writer's perspective. It is never the reader's perspective that you work with. Coming on to now how to become a writer. Okay, now coming on this is something really important. Everyone wants to become a writer. To be a writer, what you need to do to be a writer. To become a writer, or let's just say, read one of the prime requisite to be a writer. Now, Stephen King's right about, if you want to become a creative writer, you must do two things above all, right? All others. Read a lot and write a lot. Two things are required. Read a lot and write a lot. There's no way around these two things that I'm aware of. This is by Stephen King from A Memoir of the Craft. So Stephen King, one of the best writers. So if you want to write, say in romance genre, read the best work in it. Okay, if you want to write in a cynical tone, read the best author, read Mrs. Funnybones. Okay, so it's something that you need to keep reading. You have to read everything that comes your way, So today I will give you a book called Alchemist, The Alchemist, one of the shortest books. So you can read it in like 1 hour. Start reading something every day. If you do not read, you will never become a good writer. So it's important for you to read every day. So there are a lot of short stories. There are a lot of forums. There is a lot of content on social media that you can read. You can be a part of a few groups who are, let me just show you the Facebook, where you can be a part of a lot of groups that are based on reading. So let me just show you this. Okay, there are a few groups called, say, readers. Okay, I am a part of a few groups called the readers. See, Write, Read, Support, Room to Read India, all of that, Read to Lead, a lot, many groups. Just go, you have to do a simple Google search. See, Read Addict, one of the best groups, best social media pages, Readomania. Then you have Asian Literary Society, you have Poetry Planet, you can follow a lot of publishers. They also keep posting a lot of content, right? The Hive. There are a lot of groups on social media which are meant for readers only. So you can read a lot of content there. Other than, you can download the Amazon Kindle. You don't have to buy Kindle. You have to download the Amazon Kindle app. Download the Amazon Kindle app. Okay, let me just tell you the apps to read that you can download, right? To read, you can download a few apps called Amazon KDP. If you have a Kindle device, it's well done. If you do not have Goodreads, you can download the Thinkly. You can download, these are the good apps that you can, obviously the Times of India app is one of the best apps that one should download on her phone, right? And then these many apps are good. I mean, Amazon Kindle is one app. Okay, Google Play Store, say you can download Google Books, Google Play Books, one of the best apps that I have. Almost every book is here on Google. Okay, a few of them are paid, but then almost every book is here. So don't worry. Okay, fine. So these are a few things that you can do as that you should read as to become a creative writer. So read everything. Apart from that, you should keep reading anything that is coming into your hand, like even the description on the bottle of your shampoo. You might end up learning a new word. If you're in the market, you should read something which is written as instructions on the board, right? Try to read as much as you can, and do not set a time for reading, because if you set a time for reading, you will not be able to read. It may not be easy for you to make time. So you need to keep reading and you need to keep writing. These are two things. So writing, now coming on to, a lot of people say that I do not know where to start from. So start from where to start from. There are these writing challenges that people face, that I don't know where to start from. I don't find the right words. I don't find an opening line. I don't know how to do it. So all of that is farce, let me tell you. So if you wish to write, you need to write anything that is coming to your mind, right? Start writing. Like as a creative writer, I wake up early in the morning at 5. And I just do the writing part first, because I want my mind to be blank before that. Let me just give you one more example. What happens is that supposedly you're going to office, you're driving to office every day on the same route. You drive to office every day from the same route. So when you're driving at the same time, obviously at the same time. So when you're driving, what happens is your mind is conditioned to drive on that route. What is happening that you, even before the speed breaker, even before you reach the speed breaker, you slow down your car. You know where the potholes are, right? You just deviate automatically. Your mind has given you direction. Why? Because you are doing the same thing every day at the same time. That is what you call conditioning of your mind. So that you need to condition your mind for writing. You have to do write something every day at the same time. So when you are doing it stay away from internet, switch off the mobile data, switch off your Wi-Fi, and then write. Why? Because then you are not distracted. There are no notifications on your phone. There is nothing that is distracting you. Just sit alone in a room and write. Write anything. Start writing with how am I feeling right now. Start writing with I am really short of ideas. Start writing with that. It's absolutely okay. But the golden rule is write something every day at the same time without fail, right? So your mind gets conditioned to generate the ideas. You will try doing it for 21 days, because it is proven that anything that you do for 21 days consecutively, it becomes a habit. So you have to do it for 21 days, and you can compare your work. You can just make a Word file and just compare your work like this: day 1, day 2, day 3, right? The work which is there, and so on. Obviously, once you are done with 21 days, do not edit. Just don't worry about anything. Do not edit. Do not proofread your work. Do not do anything into your work. Just say that, okay, this is, I'm writing on day 1. This is, and don't think. I mean, it's absolutely okay not to have great ideas, but then just follow the ritual of writing and do it at the same time. If you're doing it 6 in the morning, do it at 6 in the morning. I'm not saying that you should wake up at 5, but if you're doing it late in the evening, do it at the same time every day, so that your mind gets conditioned, and switch off your internet. Stay away from your internet, from your phone, from all of your devices. Preferably use a pen and a paper. Okay, if you are not able to use it, just stop all the notifications, disconnect the Wi-Fi from your laptop, and then start to write. Okay, so then after 21 days, compare your work which is written on day 1 and compare your work with the work or with the write-up that you have written on day 21. And there will be a huge difference. And that is how you will become a writer. You never become a writer. You evolve as a writer. Everybody can write. If I ask you to write, say 5 sentences about a pencil, you will be able to write. But what you need to do is you need to evolve as a writer. So when you evolve as a writer, the only way is to practice. I will tell you a lot of tools to check your grammar. I will tell you tools to check your vocabulary. I will tell you a lot of tools. But there is no shortcut to writing. I will automate a lot of writing things for you, like checking your grammar, publishing your work, easy that, everything I will do that for you. But then there is no shortcut to writing. You will have to write. And that applies both in content writing and creative writing. Okay, so that is what the creative writing is all about. So coming on to how to become a good writer. One requisite, I told you, obviously, like 10 steps to become a good writer. Obviously, read something every day and write something every day. Now you're going to be surprised that I'm going to teach. Read something every day. Read and write every day. I told you the tips about writing. Now a lot of you will say that, okay, I get the idea, but then by the time I go to writing, it slips away, right? So what you can do is download Evernote app on your phone. Okay, so that whenever you have an idea, it doesn't go away. The idea of having the Evernote app on your phone is that the idea should never go away. You should never let go the idea. It should be there, written. You can curate a story. At times what happens is, when I am not able to supposedly I am not able to write something, I just get the climax. At times it happens that I write the climax first and I build the story later. So what happens is that I just tweet the climax. I use my Twitter account. Okay, there is a lot of generating. When you say that I have a problem generating idea, let me tell you, there is an app, or there is a tool called tweetdeck.com, right? So you will see Twitter is the best way to curate ideas. You will find a lot of ways to curate ideas. What is happening? What is writing? What people are doing. See these many tweet. TweetDeck is just the organizing tool for your Twitter. Just go here, tweet, read something, and write it on your Evernote app. Whenever you have the idea, you can write it on your Evernote app, and then write it later or describe it later. I mean, it's absolutely your choice. Why? Because you should never allow the idea to slip away. So what you need to do is download Evernote app on your phone, right? This is the second step. Now coming on to the third step. Now, the first thing that you need to understand is that when you are trying to become a writer, you are reading, you are reading a lot. So it's a very easy, there is a lot of possibility that you get inspired by what you have read and write on the same lines. So no, not really the good idea, but yes, let me tell you that you can steal. As a writer, you can steal. So there is Steve Jobs, who says that good writers copy, great writers steal the art. Okay, so good writers copy and great writers steal the art. So steal, whenever you are reading, just see that how someone has described beauty. Pick up the figurative language that you can use to describe beauty of something, but never copy the idea. The idea. Steal the art of writing. That is why I say that it is important to read something every day to become a good writer, right? Steal the art of writing. Let me just show you one example where you can steal the idea. And okay, let's just see one example from this only. Okay, while Mana scribbled a few pages with ink to possess the room key, she waited quietly at the sofa in the reception area, right? On the sofa hona chahiye, ye preposition galat hai, right? All she could feel was swoosh, whoosh, flutters and clinks through the thick glass panes at her back, but she didn't dare to look behind. Now, what is the writer doing here, or what am I doing here? I am trying to show the fear of height, right? So when it is a fear of height, you can use it for dog, you can use it for human, you can use it for anybody. You can use it in the plane, you know, you can use it in when somebody is standing on the cliff. You can, somebody is trying to paraglide, anything that you can, it's easy. So that is what, now if you have to rewrite it, you will write it this way, that let's just steal the idea from here. So steal the art of writing from here. So let's say that you are trying to describe that somebody is paragliding. She tried to peep into the depth and felt the clinks, swoosh, right? Whoosh into the, let's say, whoosh into her, in her stomach, right? So that's how you steal the art of writing. You never copy the content, you steal the art of writing, because that's important. Never copy the content, but steal the art of writing. Steal the art of writing, steal the idea. So as I said, that good writers copy, great writers steal the art. Look at everything from the writer's perspective. Even if you are going to buy grocery from market, try to find a story there, how people are behaving, observe everything around you, right? Perspective. Once you have your own perspective as a writer, so if you see pain, poverty, evil, death, any strong emotions, writing is all about emotions. You are expressing your emotions here, right? So if you feel or go through any emotion, just write it down. You fought with your spouse, just write it down. You didn't, your house help didn't show up, just write it down. You are struggled, you are hassled, you are not feeling okay, you are depressed, you are happy. Every feeling can be written, but you have to look at everything from the writer's perspective. You are going into the park, look at it from the writer's perspective. What kind of people, or what kind of how people are behaving in a park, how different people are behaving, what is the age group, and everything, you know, what is a child doing, what is her mother doing, what must be going on in the child's mind, what must be going on in the mother's mind. You can curate a story around anything if you look at everything from the writer's perspective. right? Never always understand that you need to create images continuously. To be a writer, you need to continuously keep imagining. Unless you imagine everything, you will not be able to write anything. So fix, yeah, all right. So this is what you call the writer's perspective, and you look at everything from the writer's perspective. Even when you are sitting at the airport, try to curate a story around it, right? Curate the stories or curate the ideas from your past, because when you write from your personal experiences, it gets easier for you to write, because you know what has happened. You don't have to imagine everything. You can add your imagination, but then you don't have to imagine everything. So that is what you need to do. Coming on to the, okay, why you write is something different. So understand, all right, look at everything from the writer's perspective. Avoid using any kind of deviation, internet, and avoid using any kind of, let's just, you have to get acclimatized to boredoms, right? The thing is that you need to get acclimatized to boredom. So we have done this, learn how to tell a great story. No one can see the world the way you do. No one can tell the stories the way you can. That is how you do, or that is how you write from the writer's perspective. Look at everything from the writer's perspective. Okay, read everything, write every day, you become a writer. So we have covered this as well. And okay, steal, I told you that you can steal the content, steal the idea, not the content, but steal the idea, but never copy. Okay, so I also told you that Steve Jobs says that good writers steal, best writers just make it. Okay, there is one more very famous quote by a writer who says that good writers steal and make the content look different. Better writers steal and make the content look better. Okay, so you don't have to make it look different, but you have to make it look better. Become acquainted with boredom. Writing is a lonely process. You need to be alone, right? Your mind has to be empty to generate the ideas. So, and that is why I said that you need to switch off your internet, switch off your phone, and then write. Okay, switch off all the applications on your laptop and then start to write. Okay, so that is what you do in writing. Now coming on to learn everything but never be an expert, because as a writer you can never be an expert. You always keep evolving, right? Learn everything but never become an expert. Why? If you have become an expert, you have closed the doors for learning. Then you start to see everything from the editor's perspective and not from the writer's perspective. So if you have started to see everything or read everything from the editor's perspective, that means you have closed the doors for learning for you. Okay, always see it from the writer's or the reader's perspective and see, are you able to imagine? If you're not able to create the images, then that means there is a food for thought for you, that okay, you should not use that kind of language ever. Okay, so that is something that you need to understand. Good artists copy, great artists steal. So we have done this. Next thing is publish your content or publish your work. Now, I do not mean that you should go to a traditional publisher and get yourself published. No, there are a lot of writing apps like Ritco, right? They Story Mirror. They keep curating the writing challenges. The Hive, this is a group on Facebook. Half-Baked Beans, right? There are a lot of these social media groups where they keep curating the writing challenges. Participate in those writing challenges. That's important, because if you win, it's a motivation for you, and if you lose, it's a learning for you, right? So all of that is important. Now, by publishing, if you have written something, you can show it to your friends, somebody who can trust, and then ask them how they feel. Are they able to imagine exactly what you had imagined, or they have deviated? If they have deviated, how weak is your narrative craft? You will get to know, right? You will be able to analyze your narrative craft only when you show your work or publish your work to the other people. No, I don't mean that you need to go to the publisher and get your work published. Try writing on these social media platforms where you can. If you are into poetries, there is something called Poetry Planet, right? All of that you can do. Okay, fine. So this is what you do in publishing. And this is what I mean by publishing. Learn how to tell a great story. I have told you. Publish and set deadlines. So how do you set the deadlines for yourself? Okay, now I have set a deadline that I will write a story for 2,000 words by end of the next week. I will not be able to do it because I want always other people to set the deadlines for me. So what do I do is that I announce it on social media that, okay, this is what is coming up. And then I am under the immense pressure of people will make fun of me because I have not done it. I don't want to go through that. So we have a huge fear of, so obviously announce your next work on social media and you will be under peer pressure to complete it by the deadline and publish it. So that is how you become a great writer. Okay, fine. And obviously now coming on to why you write, why writing, why you want to become a creative writer. Why you want to become a creative writer? Why creative writer? Is it like to earn money? No, let's just see a famous quote from Stephen King again. So if you have not read Stephen King, I recommend you to read the Memoir of the Craft, and I recommend you to read Tale of Two Cities from Charles Dickens, right? Or you can also read one of these if you are into short stories. Let me just show you this. This is one of the short stories that is by Cecilia Ahern, and you can read it, 30 stories. And this is Roar by Cecilia Ahern. You can read 30 stories, and this is by this author. You can read them, and these are some wonderful stories. If you are a woman writer, if you are into feminism, if you write about feminism, this is one of the best books that you can read. Okay, and so let's just understand that why do you write? So Stephen King says writing isn't about getting money, getting famous, getting dates, getting laid, or making friends. In the end, it's about enriching the lives of those who will read your work and enriching your own life as well. It's about getting up, getting well, and getting over, getting happy. Okay, getting happy. So creative writing is to make you feel happy, right? For rest everything, there is content writing. So unless you are happy with what you have written, you will never be able to become a good writer. You should be happy with your imagination. You should be happy with whatever story you have created, because it is always the writer's perspective, right? It is never the reader's perspective. So that's why it is important that you write and feel happy about it. Never think about, that what other people are going to, how other people are going to take my work. Even if you've written, now this is another tip to become a good writer, that you have to become acquainted to failures. So why did I say failures? Be prepared for failures. Why did I say failures? Failures because you appeared for a writing challenge, or you wrote for a writing challenge. So when I started to appear for the writing challenges, when I started to read, when I started to participate in the writing challenges, initially I never won. It was very disheartening that I was such a bad writer. Was I such a bad writer? No, I was good. I had command over English. I had good command over the writing, but then I couldn't succeed, or still I couldn't win. But I never gave up writing. So never give up on writing. I kept writing every day. I participate in almost every writing challenge, and then I started to win. So that's how you learn. So when you win, it is as I said, that when you win, it is a motivation. When you lose, it's a learning. So whenever you lose, Just read the work of people who have won, so that you know that where did you lack. All right, that is a learning for you. So why becoming creative writer? Why do you want to become a creative writer at the first place? Coming on to why somebody should become a creative writer at the first place. Somebody should become a creative writer is to earn money, not the prime objective. To get famous, no. To make good friends, to impress other people, no, not a good idea. Never do that. Be right just to be happy and just to get your idea published. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything else unless you are happy with it. Unless you become a great writer, try evolving as a writer. So that is why you do the creative writing. Now, coming on to, I don't know what to write, where to write from, I don't understand what to write. So there are many things that you can do. Write when you have something to say. If you have nothing to say, don't write. Right? If you do not have anything to say, that is why I said that start writing how you are feeling, because you have something to say, right? So write when you fought with your spouse because you have something to say. So that's important, so you have to keep writing when you have something to say, right? What to write? Write when you have something to say. Write about your experiences and opinions, right? When you have something to say, experiences and opinions. So when it comes to experiences and opinions, it becomes a blog. It becomes a blog. When you're writing a blog, it's usually out of your experiences and opinions, right? When you feel inspired, moved, touched, or hurt, write it, right? Anything that has giving you, anything that you find is when you are in stress. If you are finding it, this is the best way. Writing is like meditation. So when you are in stress, what you can do is that you can write it out. You don't have to speak to anyone. You want to just, you're feeling angry, you're feeling stressed, write it out. It's the best way of relieving stress from your mind, body, and soul, right? It's the best thing to do. Just sit in peace, switch off your internet, switch off your Wi-Fi, and just write. Don't think about the language. Now, if you're beginning to write, do not think about the language. That's not required, right? It's not necessary that you should think about the language. No, don't go for the editing tools. Don't go for the proofreading in the first place. Just write. You need to just write. Okay. When you are in stress, or when you have something to say, when you have experiences and opinions, when you get inspired, moved, touched, or hurt by anything, then you can start to write. Now coming on to, okay, get inspired, learning the writing process, be honest and real. Always be honest and real. Learning always. Now, what is the writing process? Always go through the writing process. So writing process, when it comes to content writing, the process has a lot of steps, right? Here, you just write the idea first. What is your idea? How are you feeling? Idea or feeling first. Idea or feeling first. Do not edit until you have finished. Do not edit until you have finished. Okay. And then you need to read aloud and then edit. Proofread. Let it sit for 2 days. Re-edit if required and publish. Okay, this is what the writing process is. So never skip any step of your writing process in creative writing. This is very different in content writing, but in creative writing, this is the writing process. All right. Now coming on to the next thing, which is Be honest and real. You cannot be very fictional in your writing. What to write? Obviously, we have discussed this. When you have something to say, when you want to share about your life, when something touched you, moved you, inspired you. Obviously, challenges in writing. How to begin? I told you how to begin. Taking the pressure off. Do not think about the language. Do not think about the editing. Just write your idea first and making it a habit. Do it for 21 days. I told you. Waiting for inspiration. Seek inspiration. Don't wait that inspiration will come your way. Seek inspirations. Now, inspiration is from quotes, is from reading, is from download these apps. There is something called Your Quote that you can find inspiration from. Then there is this app called Thinkly that you can download on your phone. Then just see the daily writing quotes, right? You can go here and check and follow blogs of famous writers. You will find the inspirations. Download the app called Thinkly, and it is obviously content curation. TheMuse.com is the best tool. Your Quote, Thinkly, TheMuse.com, and then you have this app called Thinkly, The Muse. Okay, yes, TweetDeck. It's very easy to curate content around these apps. Okay. Waiting for inspiration, resistance to influences. I told you, steal the idea, but never copy. Self-doubts, I will not be able to do it. You will be able to do it. Once you have done it for 21 days, you will be able to do. How to find time? Make time instead. You have to write it every day for 21 days, be it whatever. I am not in charge of whether, now there's an expert tip, I am not in charge of whether or not my work is great or how people will like it. I am only in charge of the process. I came here to be a writer, and so I write. Elizabeth Gilbert, one of the famous writers. Coming on to seeking inspiration, visual or written, it can be anything. It can be a video that you are watching. It can be a movie that you are watching. Your interpretation of life. Written, I told you all these apps, right? Written is that, all these apps that I have told you. Your interpretation of life, how you look at everything from the writer's perspective, how your experience works. Random word. Like I came across a word called Brahmani. That is the female version of Brahma, the creator, the woman creator. Okay. And that was the inspiration for me. Obviously, quotes, phrases, conversations. You're talking to someone and you find the idea of writing something, the emotions, obviously, right? Coming on to overcoming the pressure. Now, if you're not able to write anything, just go to your gallery and start captioning your pictures, right? Best idea, true, right? It's okay to write just one word. It's okay to write just one sentence. It's one paragraph, one page, whatever. Remind yourself that why did you begin writing? You want to share your imagination. If you don't share your imagination, who's going to do this? Accept that you cannot be good in everything. You may, as a writer, you may lack somewhere, and it's absolutely okay. You can't be perfect. There is nothing called a perfect writer. What reader feels or thinks is beyond your control, because you are writing from the writer's perspective. Always do not deviate from your perspective unless you have. Because you don't have to deviate from the writer's perspective, because what the reader will feel. Don't do that. So expert tip, write as badly as you can for the next 10 minutes. Maria V, it's fine, absolutely fine. Easy way to do it. Role of a writer, change people's life? No. Obviously, we have discussed all this. Change the world? No. Tell stories that make a difference? Yes. Entertain? Yes. Write for yourself? Yes. Be happy with what you are writing. Write honestly. Be honest in your writing. Don't cheat yourself, right? Write what you want to read, right? Write for yourself first. So that is all of that you do. Now, do's and don'ts in writing: carry a small notebook. Digital, I told you, Evernote, or you can download the Google Keep app, but Evernote is better. I've been using it. Understanding the writing process. I shared the writing process with you. Don't force anyone to read your work. Somebody may not be a reader. Everybody is not interested into reading. But if you want to become a writer, you need to be a reader, right? It's not necessary that everybody is passionate about your writing the way you are. So don't force other people to read your work. Help others to get you a book deal. Ask others, I want to get my work published. Please help me get a book deal. No, never do that. Okay, that is a part of vanity publishing, but never go for vanity publishing. Believe in your work. So we will understand what vanity publishing is. So that is what the basics of creative writing are that you need to understand. To be a creative writing, let's just take a quick recap of what we have understood today. What is creative? It is imaginative, it is original, and it is purposeful. Okay, let's just take it from the word file, right? So creative writing is about tooling imagination. It is about adding descriptions, figurative speech, narrative craft. It is the narrative craft. You develop descriptions, you develop characters, you develop the setting, and you add beauty to the sentences by adding the figurative speech. Like I showed you that how do you describe a beach, okay? Creating, and what you do is the very purpose of creative writing is to create images in the reader's mind. Content writing, there's a difference in content writing and creative writing. Here you write from the reader's perspective. You think about the target audience first, and here you write from the writer's perspective. You don't think about what the reader is gonna think. Okay, you use the simple language, you use the flowery language, communicate, and here you create images in the reader's mind. You use a formal tone, and your tone is creative here. Okay, to be a writer, read every day, write something every day at the same time after this class, you need to write something every day at the same time for next 21 days. 10 steps to become a writer we had discussed. Read and write every day, because Stephen King says that there is no other way that he is aware of, and he is one of the best writers in the world right now. Okay, never allow the idea to slip away. Evernote app is going to help you on that. Steal the art of writing, never copy. Okay, look at everything from the writer's perspective. Obviously, learn everything, but never become an expert. Publish. These are the apps where you can, or these are the platforms where you can publish your work. Set deadlines, okay, or let other people set it, announce it on social media. Be prepared for failures. It's okay to not win a writing challenge. You learn something new, but always read the work that has won. Okay, never give up on writing. Always keep writing. Why creative writer? No. This is a big no. This is again a big no. And to be happy. Yes. What to write? When you have something to say, experiences, opinions. You have to get inspired. When you get inspired, when you are moved, when you are touched, when you are hurt, when you are in stress, write it down. Write every emotion that you go through. The writing process, write the idea, feeling first. Do not edit until you have finished. Read aloud and then edit. Okay. Proofread. Proofread is doing away with the grammatical errors. There is a tool for this that I'll tell you in the next module. But then, yes, there is a tool that you can use a shortcut for this. No worry. So let it sit for 2 days. Re-edit, publish. These are the publishing. These are the places where you can get. Okay, there is something called Daily Hunt also, right? Daily Hunt. So here you can get the ideas from, you can curate ideas from here. So that is what are the basics of creative writing. So I really hope that I was able to help you and you were able to learn the basics of creative writing. And in the next module, we are going to understand some of the language skills that are important for learning or to write creatively. Also, we will also understand about the figurative language and how do you create the descriptions. All of that we will understand in the next module. So thank you for being with us and see you soon.